If you are not idle, nobody will probably come and encourage you to join their gang or the group.
Yes.
To keep Nigeria one is a must that must be done. Nigeria is not going to break.
So if I want to buy this one now, how much you go sell this one?
I will give you 500.
Sure, this one?
Yes.
This small banana?
Yes.
I know that Buhari can do it. He has a lot of plans. We should be praying for him. He's a human being. Anything can happen to anybody.
The majority of the law they pass belongs to them, to favor them, not the masses in Nigeria.
If we want to...
And then I also do other jobs part-time. And when I get home at night, I also do a little coding for myself. So for me, I don't understand. When you talk about laziness, I don't think that's in my DNA, and even in other Nigerians' DNA too.
You are not a lazy Nigerian.
At all, I'm never a lazy Nigerian.
Really?
Yeah.
Tell me, what do you do?
I'm an engineer, a networking engineer.
So how rigorous is your work?
Well, my work is very cool, nice. I'm into CCTV, IP cameras, installation and supplies.
And are you comfortable with what you're doing?
Very much comfortable.
Well then, are you a lazy Nigerian?
I'm not a lazy Nigerian, bro.
Really?
Yeah.
I can see you even carry this heavy load of bag. Well, he's saying he's not a lazy person. Tell me, what do you do?
Yo, I'm a graduate, but still searching for a job.
So you're still searching? Yeah. Is that why you're carrying this bag?
No, I went to pick. I went for a weekend. I went to visit a friend. I'm just coming from a friend.
So you believe you're not lazy?
I'm not a lazy
So
Nigerian.
if you're given work to do, you work.
If the opportunity is given to me today, I will embrace it.
You're not waiting for oil money.
I'm not waiting for any kind of joy that come my way. I will embrace it for now.
Are you a lazy Nigerian?
No.
Tell me, how do you mean? What do you do?
I'm a student.
You're a student?
Yeah.
So you believe if you're out of school, you work?
Sure, yeah.
You will not wait for oil money?
No.
Really?
Yeah, no.
So aside from going to school, what other things are you doing?
Actually, I want to learn on makeup artistry. So that,
You believe that will add more income to you?
yes.
So,
I'm going to fashion designer stuff.
So you see yourself as hardworking Nigerian?
Yeah, sure.
Are you a lazy Nigerian?
No.
Really?
How can I be a lazy Nigerian? I wake up as early as 5 a.m. to go to my office at VI, and I come back as late as 9 p.m. So how can you call me like a lazy Nigerian? If I'm lazy, of course, I'll be sleeping in my house, and I wait for federal government to come and take care of my needs. But because I'm not a lazy Nigerian, that is why I'm going to work. And I work because I want to take care of my family.
Are you okay with what you're doing?
Yes, of course. For now, I'm very comfortable with what I'm doing.
You're okay with what they do? They're okay?
I know they're okay.
No, they're okay.
They're okay with the thing that I'm doing. Yes.
Tell me, how much do they make per day?
They make profit now. When I'm working, I'm see money. I cannot tell you how much when I'm seeing.
That's why you are so fat like this.
And so now God do me now.
You sure say you dey hard work, you dey work well?
No hear. I no hear.
You don't hear anything?
Yes, no hear English.
What do you do?
I'm a mechanical engineer.
Are you okay with what you're doing?
I'm not okay like that because not all the time I used to get work.
So you're not getting work now?
I'm getting work, but not all the time. Before you get another one you do, maybe the money I finish.
An average Nigerian youth can live anywhere in the world and we would live fine. Whether or not we are empowered, but please know that we still survive and we are still positive. You know, look at the entertainment industry. We are making it happen. Football, music, whatever, all of the talents that we have, we are making it happen. And we will keep striving to make sure that we take the country to a greater height.
Because I'm not.
Are you sure you're not lazy?
No, I'm not lazy.
Tell me, what do you do? What do you do?
I'm a makeup artist and I also bake.
You also do what?
I bake.
You bake?
For a living. So I'm not lazy.
So how much do you make per day?
Depending on what I do, if I bake a wedding cake, I get up to 7,000 naira, and if I'm doing makeup for like bridal shower or a bride, I get like 70 to 80,000 or even 100 sometimes. So I'm not lazy.
So are you comfortable with what you're doing?
It's better than working for someone that work from Monday to Saturday, and the end of the day I have to wait for 30 days to get my pay when I know within a week I can get up to what somebody else is waiting for 30 days to get. So I'm not lazy either.
every morning to go to my office, and I have what I'm doing. I'm doing business.
Aside from being a civil servant, you do business too?
Yes, I do business.
So you see yourself as hardworking?
Very, very hardworking. And I also see Nigeria's youth as very, very hardworking. I'm hardworking. So I take myself as an example. I'm hardworking.
You get a job?
I sell market.
So as they sell market, the money no dey come in?
The money no come as before that I used to. Something that's so called in market.
You don't get handwork?
No.
Why?
Because there is no money to learn work. If I have money, I will learn more work for myself. But no.
So are you not planning to at least go and go somewhere, beg them for you to just learn?
I'm planning to learn a work, but when there is money, I will learn.
Why will you wait to get money?
I don't know what to say. Nigeria is so, I don't know, things so.
Why Nigeria? Why not yourself?
But we are in Nigeria. This Nigeria is supposed to be better for poor people, but we like this, we are suffering.
Why not try to do something to better your life?
If I have the money, I will do for something that will better.
Why must you wait to have the money?
So there's things very costly. When we buy something, maybe 10 times, we will not see it 2 times. I will feel my children. Which one will take care of myself? Which one will learn the work?
Welcome back. This is our draw the curtain on your darling program, The People. Nigerian talking concerning the comments made by the President of Nigeria, Muhammadu Buhari. It is expected that young Nigerians in Nigeria will be useful for the greatness of this country. Till I come your way again with another package of your darling program, The People. I remain your indefatigable advocate for the people, Manuel Ajayi. God bless you. God bless Nigeria. Bye for now.
The people, the people, the people, giving voice to the voiceless.
If you are not idle, nobody will probably come and encourage you to join their gang or the group.
Yes. To keep Nigeria one is a must that must be done. Nigeria is not going to break.
So if I want to buy this one now, how much you go sell this one?
I will give you 500.
Sure? This one?
Yes.
This small banana?
Yes.
I know that Buhari can do it. He has a lot of plans. We should be praying for him. He's a human being. Anything can happen to anybody.
The authority of the law they pass belongs to them, to favor them, not the masses in Nigeria.
If we want to change, let's change generally. Don't let's change half. Let's change generally.
The people giving voice to the voiceless.
If you are not idle, nobody will probably come and encourage you to join their gang or the group.
Yes. To keep Nigeria one is a must that must be done. Nigeria is not going to break.
So if I want to buy this one now, how much you go sell this one?
I will give you 500.
Sure? This one?
Yes.
This small banana?
Yes.
I know that Buhari can do it. He has a lot of plans. We should be praying for him. He's a human being. Anything can happen to anybody.
The authority of the law they pass belongs to them, to favor them, not the masses in Nigeria.
If we want to change, let's change generally. Don't let's change half. Let's change generally.
The people giving voice to the voiceless. Well, it's another episode of your darling program, The People. I'm your host, Emmanuel Ajayi. On the street here, getting the pulse of Nigerians on topical matters. Well, I'm sitting right here under the canopy. Well, for what reason, I don't know. But one thing that is very sacrosanct this time is that we're looking at the Senate invasion, what happened in the Senate with the snatching of the maize. Nigerians indeed are talking concerning this one. Quite interesting. Let's go more on the streets to feel the pulse of Nigerians on this matter. As I remain your host, Emmanuel Ajayi. See you more on the streets.
The people, the people, the people, giving voice to the voiceless.
Not just pathetic,
we are shocked. And that actually makes us to know that the security nature of this country is skeletal, not reliable. We have about 3 to 4 arms of security personnel or body. 1, DSS are there, SSS are there, Nigerian police are there. Then the gates are there. The first gate, the entrance to the National Assembly gate. And you are telling me that it is no coup. Are you getting me? Then only 2 to 3 people were able to penetrate as much as 500 military personnel, intelligent body, enter the National Assembly, go straight to where the maze was, pick it, come out with less or little or no resistance. They were able to walk out gallantly, take their jeep and escape. And you are telling me there's no compromise from higher place, from higher authority. If we have to court march here 1 or 2 people from higher place, I want to establish that there is coup in this process. You cannot be so bold like that and enter National Assembly, pick the mace, walk out gallantly like that. It's most embarrassing.
What I have to say is that it's just a disgraceful act on Nigeria and Africa in general. That the security men, almost how many days before he gets to the Senate, that the security men were there and these people had that affront to go and take the mess and go away, and nobody said anything, and they went scot-free. To me, I feel the whole security should be overhauled and even changed so that they bring new people. If they are conniving with the people that did that rubbish.
What we see means that we don't have security in Nigeria. If there is security in Nigeria, I see no reason why someone should penetrate up to that very extent. We are in danger in Nigeria. I can say the fact. Nobody should receive us. Something is wrong from the highest authority over there. Something is wrong.
Yes, when the military were ruling us, what we experienced today is we were not experiencing it. Things were better than this. Wow, in the National Assembly is close to Aso Rock. Look at the close. All the security blockage, they just allow all this talk. We need some more gege. I don't know whether it's a Yoruba man because it doesn't sound like that. They just allow him to come in and it's embarrassing. Go to US, it can't happen in US. What Nigeria is present is studio of democracy, first one. Studio, that first democracy. PSUDO, studio.
Actually, it's really unfortunate that at this time of the period at this time, such thing is happening in the Senate. It boils down to the kind of security we're talking about. That means there's lapses, even in the whole Nigeria, there's lapses. All the security thing that's happening, there's lapses, there's conspiracy. Because a Senate that has over 500 security men, people talks enter and cut away with their mace. That means what people are saying concerning conspiracy in our security system, it has just been shown there. It has just been shown there. So it's really unfortunate. And I believe this government has no answer. Does it mean that if those talks were with what do you call it, explosives, they will have bring that to the Senate. They will bring that and kill all the honorable men there.
I'm not happy. I'm not happy at all. Why? Because there is no security.
The situation is the government situation that causes the invasion of the senators.
Why are you looking into the government?
Because the way I observe, the way I look at it is the government, there's no strong policy and obey. I think this government, so many disobedience, both highest and low. There's no respect in the government. And the government is not keeping its law to find out and to take a decision for whatever effect that will happen.
The invasion was very embarrassing. We've gone from that stage to this level of embarrassing our national legislative institution. It's very unfortunate that the Senate, the hollow chamber of the Senate will be invaded in such manner. But there are so many things that came into questions there.
what were the security men doing? They decided to use to know the place that has a very serious security that is put in place. But what were they doing? The guys came and they were free and nobody is challenging them. So it is very embarrassing and unfortunate at this stage of our democratic development.
What I'm trying to say is that this country, it belongs to all of us. They say that Omo Agege have his own constitutional rights and they refuse to give him his rights. They suspend him for a year. It's not supposed to be suspended for a year. They would have suspended maybe for the constitutional right. They said that maybe a month or something like that. But he plead and they give him 6 months. After they gave him 6 months, he says he was not satisfied. Then they said I went to court. According to what I read in the paper. Secondly, I found out that the Nigerian, our security is supposed to be closed, but our security, it seems that because how many people that will just enter into the chamber easily like that and just get out of it. So there must be some clone with him to do those things. And secondly, I think that it's not the first person to do it. Other people have done it. So can you mention their names? I think Okadigbo was able to take the mails to his house. So it's not new, but it's corruption. This man, if he's the one who bet, I cannot say he's the one that did it because he has not stated that he's the one that did it because it's not. I didn't see Omo Agege with the mace. I saw other people that carry it. It's not Omo Agege that carry it, but suspiciously it seems that he's the one that is doing it.
Welcome back. This is how we draw the curtain on your darling program, The People. Nigerians talking concerning the Senate invasion, and it is expected that security at the National Assembly will be beefed up to forestall any reoccurrence. Till I come your way again with another bumper package of your darling program, The People. I remain your indefatigable advocate for the people, Emmanuel Ajayi. God bless you. God bless Nigeria. Bye for now.
The people, the people, the people, giving voice to the voiceless.
If you are not idle, nobody will probably come and encourage you to join their gang or the group.
Yes. To keep Nigeria one is a must that must be done. Nigeria is not going to break.
So if I want to buy this one now, how much you go sell this one?
I will give you 500.
Sure? This one?
Yes.
This small banana?
Yes.
I know that Buhari can do it.
He has a lot of plans. We should be praying for him. He's a human being. Anything can happen to anybody.
The majority of the law they pass belong to them, to favor them, not the masses in Nigeria.
If we want to change, let's change generally. Don't let's change half. Let's change generally.
The people giving voice to the voiceless.
In edition of your program, Southern Report.
The newborn Nigerians have the right.
The money we are supposed to use for this time.
Hello viewers out there and welcome to another edition of your superlative program, Southern Report, coming to you from CoreTV. My name is Rashid and it was indeed a week dotted with much happenings in our political space. We are going to bring you reports across the southeast, southwest and the south-south region of our country, Nigeria. You're welcome. The Joint Health Sector Union, JOHESU, went back into the trenches with the federal government. All public health facilities were shut down as this union withdrew their service across the nation. The race ahead 2019 is really taking shape. Alliance and realignments are now seeing the more. Or how else do we explain the closed-door meeting between National Chairman of the Social Democratic Party, Chief Oluyemisi Falaye, and ex-President Olusegun Obasanjo at his hilltop mansion in Abeokuta over the week? Here out Falaye. In Ekiti State, as you know that it is the political theatre for the now, former Deputy Governor Dr. Sikiru Tai Lawal made a daunting political move. Left his lifelong party, the PDP, to the Labour Party in order to actualize his governorship bid. The Ado-Ekiti-born educationist turned politician accused absence of level playing field in the PDP as one of the factors for his defection.
The essence of politics and struggle for power is to add values to the lives of the citizens. And as someone who believes in this creed, I owe it a duty to preserve the sanctity of democracy and ensure that the right people get to leadership. Consequently, upon this, I decided to forge ahead with my political journey. After due consultations with my supporters and other critical stakeholders across the state, we have decided to join the Labour Party. The whole can attest to how democracy and human rights were brazenly abridged in Ekiti PDP through the ceiling placed on the ambitions of some contenders via unilateral adoption of a certain aspirant to the consternation of the Nigerian populace.
Ahead of the party's primary election in Ekiti State, leadership of the People's Democratic Party seems to be so aware of the impending danger if the crisis rocking the party in that state is not well managed. PDP chairman Uche Secondus and
Thank you for joining us again. CoreTV News on R. I'm Olanike Akinremisi. The verification exercise for the recall of Senator Dino Melaye representing Kogi West Senatorial District has been characterized by low turnout of electorate. The exercise has taken place in 552 out of the 560 polling units in the Senatorial District it represents. Chuka Odita has a report.
Members of the constituents had petitioned the Independent National Electoral Commission to demand the recall of the senator whom they say does not provide them with the representation they deserve. The petition is also being contested by some members of his constituents. Responding to the demand made last year, the Commission schedules Saturday, May 29 as a date for verification of the electorate who had mandated him to represent them in the Senate.
I was so surprised that there is forgery over this recall. I got here not quite long and saw my name and another person's signature. My mom's name, my dad's name was signed, and they were not even around. I wasn't around when this whole process happened. I was in Abuja last year when they started gathering signature. But to my surprise, I saw my name here being signed. By who? This is forgery of highest order, and I'm not happy with that.
When the recall process started last year, I was in Bauchi State serving. But it was quite unfortunate today I came to the center, I saw my name. My signature was being forged, whereas I was not at home where all the recall process started. This is a forgery from highest order, which is against the law of this country.
The poor turnout may be an indication of the level of the popularity for his recall.
I'm not in support of recall for Dino because Dino is a good representative. Dino is our brother, and the way Dino is acting in that Senate, at least we love it. See, to me, I do not support the recall for Dino because Dino is a good leader. And the suffering that we have suffered to vote Dino, we cannot just recall just like that without knowing the offense.
The embattled senator is on admission in an Abuja hospital for injuries sustained after falling off a moving vehicle used by the police to transport him to Lokoja for alleged criminal offense.
Ahead of the May Day celebration, leaders of the Nigerian Labour Congress have been called upon to use the occasion to advocate for unity among its members. The union was also charged to hold government accountable. Ibirunke Araluvagbe has a report.
The Nigerian Labour Congress and the Trade Union Congress of Nigeria converged on the secretariats of the union to discuss issues affecting workers' welfare and the problems of labour movements in Nigeria. For these human rights activists, the time for labour leaders to stand up and be counted is now a vital link between the people and the government.
As May Day approaches, I want all workers to realize that they must agonize less and organize more. They must stop being onlookers. They must struggle. In struggling, they must always ensure that they speak out against corruption. They oppose disunity. They also ensure that within the length and breadth of where they are, they continue to serve as torchbearers. And I want the leaders of the labor movement to realize that their unity lies in their strength.
See, pressure is in preparation for the May Day. We have to treat the team of the May Day. We have to prepare our members for the May Day proper.
On the issue of minimum wage, government was charged to be more responsive, taking into consideration the current economic situation.
We have wages piling up, and some of these people are already dying. So let us, we'll call upon the labor union once again. We'll call upon government to be more responsible and responsive, and ensure that any minimum wage that is pegged must be paid. And for people who will vote, let them ensure that any of those who have not fulfilled their obligation is booted out of power.
We realize that unionism is all about bargaining and negotiation. It is only when we have the other side that find it difficult to listen and to fulfill agreement, negotiation that is based on superiority of argument, that the union decide to always keep on struggling.
The labor movement in Nigeria took off some decades ago as a result of struggle for the welfare of organizations' employees. The foremost aim of this body was to protect the interests of its members. But most of the problems of labor movement in Nigeria discussed at the symposium were more of political, social and economic restructuring, which have posed serious challenges to the effectiveness of the labor movement in Nigeria. Ibronke Ireluvigbe, CoreTV News, Lagos.
No fewer than 12 persons have been confirmed dead in Lagos Ibadan expressway fatal accident, with 8 others sustaining various degrees of injuries in an accident involving a Volvo truck and a Ford bus at Fediwo Ogumakan area of Lagos Ibadan expressway. Confirming the incident to CoreTV News, the State Road Commander Federal Road Safety Corps, Florence Okpe, said the suspected cause of the crash was speed, wrongful overtaking, which led to loss of control at the narrowed section of the road, where traffic is diverted to enable repairs of the weakened bridge between Fediwo and Sancrete. The FRS Sector Commander, Clement Oladele, upon visiting those survivors, commiserated with the crash victims and enjoined them to always caution the drivers who drive recklessly. He also admonished motorists traveling on that axis of Lagos-Ibadan corridor to continue to obey the no overtaking and maximum speed limit of 50 km per hour at the construction site. The FRS Route Commander added that the injured victims have since been taken to a private hospital, while the corpses have been deposited at a mortuary located in Ipara area of Ogun State. The Christian Association of Nigeria has embarked on a massive mobilization of churches across the Federation for peaceful protests against incessant killings by suspected Fulani herdsmen in the country. The Special Assistant Media and Communications to the CAN President, Bayo Oladeji, confirmed that all was set for the protest against the killings of Christians as well as other Nigerians across the country. The CAN President, Olashukbo Ayokunle, had in a statement urged Christians to hold peaceful protests within the church premises on April 29th. He made the call against the backdrop of Tuesday killing of 2 priests and 17 worshippers at St. Ignatius Catholic Church, Mbalom, Gwa East local government area of Benue State. Hundreds of persons have been killed by suspected Fulani herdsmen across the country this year alone, especially in Benue and Taraba states. You are still watching CoreTV News, and I will take a break now. In return with more stories. Just stay with us.
So what is 60 Minutes with Angela all about? It's not an interview. I like to think it's a conversation between two people making the news, people who are in the news, and those who become the news. And the whole idea is to inform, to educate, or to clarify, as the case may be. It is an art getting people to answer the questions that everyone is thinking in their minds. And that's what we try to do on 60 Minutes with Angela. I ask all the questions that everyone's thinking about and no one wants to voice. All the questions you always wanted to ask, you get those answers on 60 Minutes with Angela. Every week on this station, 60 Minutes with Angela, getting answers to every question you always wanted to ask.
Hi, I am Anita Patrick, host of your program Abuja Today, that brings you highlights of happenings in Nigeria's Federal Capital Territory.
Glad to have you back. If you've just joined us, you're watching CoreTV News on our. For more stories, you can visit our social media platforms. On Facebook, it's facebook.com/CoreTV News. You can join the conversation on Twitter at CoreTV News NG, on our Instagram handle CoreTV News, and our YouTube channel youtube.com/CoreTV News NG. The federal government has been urged to declare a state of emergency in the Nigerian education sector as a measure to effectively tackle the challenges undermining education for all coverage in Nigeria. The call is also to ensure that the education system in the country is properly groomed to appropriately cater for all access and quality education for the population. On citing Ozadebawe reports.
It is a one-day of brainstorming session for these members of civil society organizations who are disturbed by the falling standards of the level of education in the country and hope to develop models that will enable them continue to put governments in check on improving the standards of education in Nigeria.
It is now time for the government to prove they are equally working towards financing public, equitable, inclusive, and free education.
For them, it is a call to demand accountability from the federal government and state government on delivering quality education to the Nigerian people, children and adults alike, under the Universal Basic Education Program.
The unfortunate reality here is that no child in Nigeria has the right to 12 years of education. And so some people may ask why. It's because the law does not make provision for it.
The goals they agree is to facilitate and provide equal opportunity to all Nigerians, but the question is how realizable. That question is what they seek to provide answers to. The Minister of Education, who was represented by the Deputy Director of Education Management Program in the ministry, says it is not in doubt of the capacity of the civil society groups to task relevant agencies of government to become accountable, and points out that the federal government recognizes the rights of all Nigerians to quality education.
The mutual relationship that exists between active participation of the citizens and sustainable development cannot be undermined.
The call to action by the organizations to the federal government is to strengthen the public school systems, while states and local governments are to monitor and ensure free education, which must be qualitative as it should be easily accessible. For the young Nigerian and an ambassador for the girl child education, there is no alternative to providing the girl child quality education.
Over the last years, we do more of signing. We sign numerous agreements on education, but we don't implement them and we don't sustain them. If we cannot sustain it, if we cannot implement it, please let us not sign it.
Osaiti Osadebame, CoreTV News, Abuja.
The Universal Basic Education Commission has expressed its readiness to conduct a comprehensive audit of all public and private basic education institutions in the country. Executive Secretary of UBEC, Ahmed Baboyi, will disclose this in Abuja, also explained that the exercise is to enable the Commission obtain reliable data of both the personnel and students. Correspondent Gloria Ikiba has a report.
The National Personnel Audit is meant to be carried out every 3 years in reference to the Universal Basic Education Commission Act 2004, Section 9F and L, so as to establish a basic education data bank and conduct research on basic education in Nigeria. But Boboi says the Commission successfully carried out a personnel audit of public basic education institutions in Nigeria in 2006, and the last one was done in 2010, and the reports on these audits are already in the public domain. He harps on the need to ensure that the foundation of basic education is strong, as this will help to build a better society, adding that the audit exercise will enable the Commission identify the needs of each school and also develop proper policies that will boost the education sector.
Or is it 34? GPR? 34 now, so far as we have only 3 states that are outstanding. That regard. I've also mentioned the incentivization of the whole process by the World Bank, where each state that has a review strategic plan is going to get $300,000 for that purpose. Because this is the basis of what we have to start developing this particular system. If we don't do that, it means we just keep on groping in the dark, having policies that are not related to the real problem that are on the ground.
The chairman of the National Personnel Audit Program, Edwin Jerome, notes that the Commission is raising the standards of public education with the audit exercise in ensuring that the best quality of education is maintained in public and private basic education at all times. Speaking on the level of preparedness for the audit exercise, he says the high-level monitoring team will be led by the Minister of Education, Adamu.
This activity will ensure that all our field officers get to every school. You can't stay in the motor park or under a tree and get information of a school. We will know from the GPS. On Monday 30th of April, the Honorable Minister of Education will be flagging off this activity to demonstrate practically in one of the schools here in the FCT what the field officers will be doing.
The National Personnel Audit is coming at a time when the government is making efforts for states to have their own education strategic plan, and the exercise will be carried out in conjunction with state and local governments and will entail personnel audits of teaching and non-teaching staff of all basic education institutions in Nigeria. According to the Commission, foot soldiers have been trained in GPS and use of computer to enable them upload data and to be monitored by the Commission. The National Personnel Audit will enable the Commission to obtain comprehensive and reliable data of children of school age enrolled in basic education schools and junior secondary schools. Clara Kiba, CoreTV News, Abuja.
Away from the education sector, a civil society group under the backing of Global Initiative for Food Security and Ecosystem Preservation is taking the campaign for tree planting to some schools in the Federal Capital Territory. Officials of the group say the essence of the exercise is to create awareness among students on how to combat the effect of climate change in Nigeria. Correspondent Basila Kafo has more in this report.
This civil society group, under the aegis of Global Initiative for Food Security and Ecosystem Preservation, has embarked on tree planting and public awareness campaign in secondary schools within the Federal Capital Territory as part of efforts to address the effects of climate change in Nigeria. According to environmentalists, one of the practical ways to combat climate change is to plant more trees in order to take more carbon out of the atmosphere, especially when the trees are planted in the right places. Officials here are convinced that the launch of the project Trees for Schools will help to create in the minds of the students the need for environmental protection.
Other schools see what they are doing here, and they see the success, and they see what other things that is being that they are enjoying or they are benefiting because of their efforts to plant these trees. Then we believe that other schools will buy into it.
Thank God for today's activities. We are also partnering with these students who are the youth and the head of tomorrow.
So by the time they will grow up, some of them may be in the position of Senate, some of them may be in the position of authority. They will be able to really help every law on environment.
The initiator of the project has also expressed determination to carry the campaign Trees for Schools to different parts of the country.
We will be planting these trees across 60 schools in FCT, and we are hoping that with more funding we can expand to other states of the Federation. And even our target more is the local communities, in schools where you have local communities, you know, so that we can plant not just the fruit trees but the local indigenous trees.
The art of planting trees was demonstrated to the students by the officials as a way of catching them young in the fight against negative impact of climate change. Basil Okafor, CoreTV News, Abuja.
The Nation of Nigeria (SON) has inaugurated a technical committee on non-profit sewage sanitation to safeguard the environment against open defecation in Lagos State. The Director General of the agency, Osita Bolama, says the committee's scope covers standardization in the field of sanitation systems for organizations. Ibironke Aralvogwe completes the report.
The committee is expected to promote economic, social and environmental sustainability and also address basic sanitation needs. Their functions also include minimizing resources consumption, converting human waste to safe output, and a standard on fecal sludge treatment units.
This is an international organization for standardization technical committee where the committee is considering non-seaward sanitation system where that can take care of all this open defecation that people are doing. So it's going to get Nigeria open defecation free, just like the chairperson has said. So what we're trying to do is to make sure that every stakeholder is involved and they're involved in this, participating in the elaboration of this standard. At the end of the day, what we intend to do as a country is to adopt this international standard for implementation in Nigeria to get us that defecation-free environment.
The mandate of this committee is to mirror the international standards and adopt as a national standard. That is, we need to look at this draft ISO PC 305 and 318 and introduce our own culture, looking at our environment, our culture, our attitude, behavioral changes and others into the international standards so that it is now adaptable to Nigeria, then it can be adopted as a national standard on sanitation.
The essence of the committee, according to the agency, is also to provide global best practices in the environmental sector and promote international trade.
I think it is estimated that over 2.5 billion people do not have access to toilets. You can imagine that that's a basic human need that we all do. But about a third of the world's population do not have access to clean toilets to defecate. And so open defecation is very prevalent in our society.
The agency stated that the committee will be responsible for establishing Nigeria's position on issues relating to the standards internationally. Ibironke Ireluvegbe, CoreTV News, Lagos.
And straight to news as Nigeria, the South Korean president's office has said North Korea's nuclear test site will close in May. A spokesman said the closure of the Pyongyang site would be done in public, and foreign experts from South Korea and the U.S. would be invited to watch. Scientists have said the site may have partially collapsed in September. On Friday, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un and South Korea's President Moon Jae-in agreed to work to rid the Korean peninsula of nuclear weapons. Alfred Evans, the 23-month-old toddler at the center of a high court legal battle, has died nearly a week after his life support was withdrawn. His father, Tom Evans, said the boy, who had a degenerative brain condition, died at 2:30 local time. On Facebook, he wrote, and I quote, "My gladiator laid down his shield and gained his wings, absolutely heartbroken," end of quote. The Pope, who took a personal interest in the case, tweeted, "I am deeply moved by the death of little Alfie." He added, "Today I pray especially for his parents, as God the Father receives him in his tender embrace." Hundreds of supporters of Alpha's parents, known as Alpha's Army, released balloons at the park in a tribute to the toddler. Alpha's parents lost all legal challenges to a court ruling allowing the hospital to withdraw ventilation. The boy had his life support withdrawn after being in a semi-vegetative state for more than a year. And that's it on CoreTV News on Air. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Olanike Akinremisi.
In edition of your program, Southern Report.
I believe all Nigerians have the right.
The money we are supposed to use for this time. Hello viewers out there, and welcome to another edition of your superlative program, Southern Report, coming to you from CoreTV. My name is Rashid, and it was indeed a week dotted with much happenings in our political space. We are going to bring you reports across the southeast, southwest, and the south-south region of our country, Nigeria. You're welcome. The Joint Health Sector Union, JOHESO, went back into the trenches with the federal government. All public health facilities were shut down as this union withdrew their service across the nation. The race ahead 2019 is really taking shape. Alliance and realignments are now seeing the more. Or how else do we explain the closed-door meeting between National Chairman of the Social Democratic Party, Chief Oluyemisi Falaye, and ex-President Olusegun Obasanjo at his hilltop mansion in Abeokuta over the week? Hear out Falaye. In Ekiti State, as you know that it is the political theatre for the now, former Deputy Governor Dr. Sikiru Tailawal made a daunting political move. Left his lifelong party, the PDP, to the Labour Party in order to actualize his governorship bid. The Ado-Ekiti-born educationist turned politician accused the absence of level playing field in the PDP as one of the factors for his defection.
The essence of politics and struggle for power is to add values to the lives of the citizens. And as someone who believes in this creed, I owe it a duty to preserve the sanctity of democracy and ensure that the right people get to leadership. Consequently, upon this, I decided to forge ahead with my political journey. After due consultations with my supporters and other critical stakeholders across the state, we have decided to join the Labour Party. The whole world can attest to how democracy and human rights were brazenly abridged in Ekiti PDP through the ceiling placed on the ambitions of some contenders via unilateral adoption of a certain aspirant to the consternation of the Nigerian populace.
Ahead of the party's primary election in Ekiti State, leadership of the People's Democratic Party seems to be so aware of the impending danger if the crisis rocking the party in that state is not well managed. PDP chairman Uche Secondus and Senator David Mark visited the state delegates to preach peace and reconciliation.
The affairs of Nigeria are far greater and far larger than the political ambition of any person. So I've come to exchange views with President Obasanjo on the affairs of Nigeria. Once upon a time, between 1977 and 1979. I worked with him when he was military head of state, and I was permanent secretary, working with him. And we did many things in those days to advance the cause of Nigeria. And the way things are in Nigeria, I felt I should come back to see him, to exchange views with him, to see whether we can make any contribution towards the elimination of the threats and dangers that now face Nigeria.
Sir, you are leading the SDP, and Chief Obasanjo is promoting another third force. How are you planning to work together towards 2019?
I'm sure that most, if not all, right-thinking Nigerians will see the need for all of us to work together to ensure that there's a change, a good change, a beneficial change, a peaceful change, a progressive change in 2019.
Okay, talking about change, what kind of a change do you want?
A good change, a change from massive unemployment, which we have now, a change from continual harassment and killing of people by Fulani herdsmen, a change from the fear, the Boko Haram, threat and bombings across Nigeria. A change from a situation where farmers are afraid to go into their farms. A change from the riots that are going on all over the place because of frustration and loss of hope. A change from the present situation of depression, of failure, and a change to a situation of hope and revival of the economy of Nigeria.
Are you saying the present government is not doing enough to...
The present government, you know and I know, they have not succeeded, they have not done well. The primary responsibility of a government is to protect the lives of its citizens. This government is not doing so.
President Buhari
people continue to be killed and slaughtered every night. Take your newspaper. Any government that cannot stop that has failed. President Buhari is my friend. Once upon a time, you will recall, I raised his hand in Adamasingba in Ibadan, asking people to vote for him because he said he would restructure Nigeria. So it's not a personal matter. The truth of the matter is that he has not done well. And I was hoping that he himself will look at the situation as a very honest and, very honest and right-thinking person, and do himself a favor and do us a favor by saying that in the light of what has happened and given the state of his health, he is not going to contest. That's what I thought he would do, but he didn't do so.
Lastly, sir, what are you taking away from this visit, sir?
What I'm taking away from here is a confirmation of the fact that most Nigerians are united in wanting a change for the better, in doing whatever is possible to ease out President Buhari for his own sake.
When you are here officially,
Just as the PDP was trying to mend fences in Ekiti, it was just being depleted further in Osun State. The zonal legal advisor for the PDP in the Southwest, Barrister Sunday Williams, and the 7th National Executive member, Bade Balade, dumped the party for good, giving injustice an allegation of embezzlement on the Soji Adagun-led executive.
We cannot continue to watch and become accomplices to these unlawful acts being daily committed by a clique within the party. To this end, those of us here undersigned, being the zonal legal advisor of the party, that is myself, and National Executive Committee member of the party, right here, Honorable Bade Falade, respectively, have decided to call it quits with the People's Democratic Party, and have therefore resigned as members of the People's Democratic Party in our wards and at various levels of the party.
Because of the timing of the elections scheduled for September in this state, and as an active political participant, we cannot afford to wait endlessly so that our case will not become that of Ondo State. We are all living witnesses to what transpired in Ondo State sometime last year, when people became helpless And as active political animals, we don't want to be victims.
The program Southern Reports coming to you from CoreTV will be going on a very short break, and we'll be right back with more stories.
The judiciary, third arm of government. What happens here is what we give to you. The arraignments, arguments, rulings, adjournments of cases and judgments. The fight against corruption and issues bordering on human rights violations.
The doctrine of least spenders ought to have been respected, that no arm of government, however powerful, should take the laws into its hands as held by the Supreme Court.
Justice is one way. It's either you go for justice or justice go after you. But I've never seen a situation where an individual is afraid of justice.
We move from court to court to give you updates on legal matters, when they happen and where they are happening. Going extra miles to get reactions from the parties, even when they are not in the mood to speak.
No comment. Talk to my lawyer.
Watch Legal Scope on CoreTV News at this time.
The Imo State chapter of the Social Democratic Party, SDP, also joined its national leadership in the clamor to dislodge the APC both at the state and the federal level. They even went ahead to boast of ousting all PDP-led government in the country, saying they are the political messiah of Nigeria.
Reading his acceptance speech, the state chairman of the Social Democratic Party and the party's national leader said they are, as a matter of urgency, issuing a red card to the APC and the PDP.
Today starts the great march of SDP to Douglas House, Owerri. As Nigerians have agreed, our party is the platform that will save the country from cluelessness of APC and PDP. To kickstart this new beginning, ladies and gentlemen, we are immediately issuing a red card to the failed APC government in the state, led by Chief Rogers Okorocha. He should start packing his bags and baggage, getting ready to vacate Douglas House on the 9th of May 28, 2019.
Our aim for 2019 is to take over completely from all stratas of government and governance, starting from the states to the federal. We are poised to take over. Are very, very strong. The strongest parties are not done by years or age, or it's done by experience and knowledge. And SDP has the knowledge.
Other party faithful are optimistic that SDP will take over power come 2019.
In Tanzania at the time in question. And I think that is what the SDP stands for. When you talk about the SDP, you think about social democracy. When you talk about the SDP, you think about the party that wants to bring a people-oriented policy. When you talk about the SDP, you see the SDP that is interested in human capital development. When you talk about the SDP, you talk about the SDP that wants to totally eradicate poverty by empowering her people.
Just after today, we move down to the field, to the grassroots, because policy is all about grassroots work. We need to go to the streets, tell people about our party, because SDP have really come to change the state. Everybody is complaining the situation of the state is very bad. So we are here to make a change, and change begins with us in SDP. As a member of the state steering committee, the treasurer, as a matter of fact, the state treasurer of the steering committee, I am assuring you that SDP is going to make a big difference come 2019.
Here today, my hope is that that decision will come quicker than expected. And when it comes, there will be no going back. I'm sure that you all know that the government house is really vacant.
Yes.
Absolutely. And it is on basis of that that at 43, we will make a statement that will go around this country like never before. We want men and women of honor and integrity, men and women of vision, selfless human beings across all
sectors of the economy in this country.
Voters are, however, urged not to sell their votes to desperate politicians who are interested in power.
After 3 years of absconding from duties, the chairman of the APC in the state, Jidiawe, through the withdrawal of the murder charges against him by the state government, resumed his office in Ado-Ekiti. This came just as another group accused Governor Ayodele Fayose and Nyesom Wike of Rivers State of plans to cause trouble in the state ahead of 2012.
For the past 3 years, the deputy chairman of APC has been holding forth for the chairman, Jidiawe, who was on the run for alleged murder. Answering questions from newsmen, Awe lamented an issue investigated and found to be false was exhumed at the inception of the Ayo Fayose-led administration. He observed that his ordeal was an attempt to destabilize the All Progressives Congress ahead of the elections. Awe, however, assured residents of Ekiti State that his party will do everything right to win the July 14th governorship elections, advising the government in power to treat opposition with respect.
It was a test. And that's one thing about the politics of this nation. We have not grown out of, you see, to hell with opponents. Issue that has been resolved before the coming in of this government, they went and exhumed it. And they wanted to make issue out of it. I'm not limiting the contact within this state. I've contacted the Southwest leadership. You will be told. They will be here any moment from now. And I will tell you later. I've contacted the national body of the party. They are ready to assist us.
In another development, a Yoruba socio-cultural group, Oodua Descendants Group, speaking through former coordinator of Oodua People's Congress in Ekiti State, Adedipe Adeniyi, accused the governor of Ekiti State, Ayodele Fayose, and the Rivers State governor, Nyesom Wike, as well as the Are Ona Kakanfo of Yoruba land, Gani Adams, of plans to cause unrest in Ekiti State ahead of the July 14, 2018 governorship election.
Fayose is planned to mobilize 5,000 members of OPD to destabilize Ekiti in the next, after primary, in the next 3 months. We are not going to allow them. That's why we decided our time with them, from them. Those people are there. Let us leave this issue with them and the security agency. The body that comes to government who find a solution to Boko Haram issue, it must equally find a solution to Fulani.
Adedipe was just released from prison after being discharged on murder charges, said herdsmen crisis in the country is a political tool in the hands of the opposition to thwart the second-term bid of President Muhammadu Buhari.
All Progressives Congress in Ekiti State, just as they have their chairman back and some other members who have been incarcerated for some time now. A former governor and minister for mines and steel, Kayode Fayemi, is also scheming to come back. Fayemi made his public declaration over the week in Ado-Ekiti, the state capital.
Resting all speculations, Dr. Kayode Fayemi finally threw his heart into the Ekiti State governorship race. Fayemi was governor of Ekiti State between 2010 and 2014, told journalists at his Isha Ekiti country home that he would follow due process, starting a formal notification of his intention to the leadership of the APC at the state secretariat. This, he said, would be followed by a public declaration rally at a date to be announced. He said the state government's controversial white paper could not stop him from contesting the governorship election as designed by the PDP government.
The level of curiosity that has been generated by whether I am running or not running, I've been very clear that what we have in this state today is not what the state desires. I've also been very clear that whatever it takes, constitutionally, legally, and legitimately, to put our party in office in October 2018, we will do as a party.
State chairman of the party, High Chief Jidiawe, urged aspirants in the state to let campaigns be issue-based. He said arrangements will be put in place to ensure that the party's primary election will be credible.
And on no account should any of our members follow anybody to anywhere. We are in this party, and the good dividends of this party is coming to our pocket. I want to charge you as party members, go home
mobilize people. Let them come to this party. We are many in number. We are mighty. God Almighty is with us. Come July, when the election will be staged, we are going to be victorious.
The minister had addressed the mammoth crowd of party leaders from all the 177 wards of the state at the APC leaders meeting held in Ishan-Ekiti, where he urged them to be united in the battle to unseat the incumbent PDP leader.
It's your program Southern Report coming to you from CoreTV. Do not forget that this program is open to sponsorship, adverts and special coverages. You can always contact our marketing department for more information. Paying attention to the political atmosphere of the state, seeing that it is getting charged, the Ekiti State Police Command quickly called a stakeholders meeting to read the Riot Act to active stakeholders and politicians.
This stakeholders meeting, convoked by the Ekiti State Police Command, was attended by